Hello there, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree. I have a interesting video today, something that I don't talk about much, something that most YouTube narcissistic abuse video makers don't talk about much, and that is talk therapy. My contention is this, that we in this community, excuse me, of narcissistic abuse survivors and YouTube video makers and therapists, we tend to underuse therapy. We tend to undervalue therapy. Many times it's even unavailable because so many communities don't have a single therapist who could offer effective therapy. Much of what goes on in the name of help for this condition of complex PTSD and narcissistic abuse is advice giving, and it's over focusing on education about the narcissistic person. I see both of those as being very limited in their helpfulness, certainly in the beginning of your career as a shattered person by a narcissist. Somebody coming along and putting all the pieces of the puzzle together is actually enormously helpful. But in the long run, when months become years and years become 7 years and 7 years become 15, it's the emotional healing, not only the knowledge, that changes and heals you. So the title of my video today is 20 Characteristics of Deep, Elegant Personality Rewiring Therapy. A lot of you probably think that was a long, silly title that didn't really make sense, but I'm going to talk about the title for a while. 20 characteristics of deep therapy. I hear my alarm on my Echo Dot summoning me to awake. I can't turn the darn thing off. Maybe it'll get tired eventually. I woke up early this morning, which is unlike me. So if you hear some creepy noises in the background that sound like a spaceship, that's my Echo Dot summoning me to be awakened. So, deep therapy. This experience that we go through, it wounds us so deeply, and the therapy itself needs to be deep. It needs to be something that releases your wounded inner child. And for many of us, it's not just a wounded inner child. We people who have gone through this, I like to say we have an inner baby, an inner infant, not just an inner child. Perhaps your typical neurotic person has an inner child. We primitive people who attract narcissists, we do that because we're primitive and needy and little on the inside. So You must get very deep in your therapy. I have elephants charging at me. Ah! Elegant therapy. I know that I'm probably known as Mr. Frou-Frou with all my poetry, but therapy is an art. It really is an art. And as I get older and wiser and experience more shit in my life, I've become a lot more of an artist as a therapist, and I use a lot more finesse, and it's a dance, it's a painting. The process of therapy is poetry, and I'll get to some of the qualities that make it artistic, that make it powerful, that make it beautiful. The last thing is personality rewiring. I tell my clients that if I were to put into one single word what the goal of therapy is in my mind, that word would be recovery. And many times we think of recovery as having to do with just alcohol or drug addiction recovery. But my definition of recovery is somebody who simply knows the truth about themselves and then gets very busy working very effectively on their issues. So your diagnosis, my dear friends, is not a victim of narcissist. That's just the symptom. All right? Your diagnosis is somebody who was wounded very deeply in childhood, who was abandoned or abused and shamed, who has a scratch that needs to be itched. Or is that an itch that needs to be scratched? I said it backwards. Who has a psychological hunger to reenact the wounds of their childhood. And so your diagnosis is borderline magnet or malignant narcissist magnet. And there's patterns in your life where you do that over and over again. And so if you're going to have a happier life and to heal the wounds of your childhood and to stop picking friggin' narcissists who cut your gizzard out, you're going to need to get in recovery, not for poor judgment, not for not seeing red flags. You need to get in recovery to heal the wounds of your childhood. Okay, here's the 20 characteristics of deep, elegant personality rewiring therapy. I'm sorry, I'm got ants in my pants here with the moving around here today. The first thing, spaceship. The first thing is in really effective therapy, there is an effective and a deep and a insightful assessment process. We do a weekly live stream show. We call it Church for the Narcissistically Abused. It's at 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights till 9:30 Eastern Time. And many times people ask questions as if there's a generic answer. This isn't Dr. Phil. Many times I say, I can't really answer that. I don't know your childhood. I don't know the dynamics Many times, the most important thing that ever happened in your life, it isn't your love life, my friends. It's what went on not only in your childhood, but in the childhood of your parents and in the childhood of their parents. And I'll give some examples in a bit. Shit rolls downhill from generation to generation. In the Old Testament, it says the sins of the fathers will be visited upon the children and upon the children's children to the third and fourth generation. So what I've always taught the therapists that I've trained through the past 30 years is we get a family tree out. I wish I had one here and could show you what it looks like. And we get a really good quality set of colored pens that we purchase from the art store Dick Blick. And we spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours really getting to know somebody. We're not here to give advice. We're here to give observations, and we only give observations about that which we really know a lot about. We have to know the truths about our clients deeply, inside and out, upside down and backwards. I tell people that your life is a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and you roll into our office as a 42-year-old and you think you've got your life put together 75-80%, you really have the pieces of that jigsaw puzzle put together like 35%. But when we do this genogram, this family tree, we're able to put the pieces together and see the dynamics that have gone down from generation to generation. So just getting advice about the nature of a narcissist without the YouTube guru knowing a damn thing about your family of origin is, I want to call it malpractice, but they're not professional therapists. It's not helpful in the long run. Your life is about you. And these monsters that we invite into our lives, the question isn't, tell me more about how monstrous the monster is. The thing that'll help you is, why the hell did you pick this monster? It ain't 'cause they fooled you. In your unconscious, in your radar system, in your love life, you knew who they were. And many of you have had a relationship end badly with a grand finale. What'd you do? You went out and found another one. And you knew what they were. What'd you do? You went out and found another one, didn't you? So did I. Okay. The second thing that deep, elegant personality rewiring therapy does is it eliminates victim mentality. It gets you focused away from the evilness of the evil ones, and it gets you focused on your choices. Nobody made you fall in love with that narcissist. You were only susceptible to love bombing because you didn't love yourself enough. People who are really aware of the practices of con men and women don't get conned. Suckers get conned. I don't mean to be harsh. I've been a sucker like like you never can believe, but it wasn't my fault. I was trained to not know what real love was because I didn't get real genuine love from my mama or my daddy. Number 3, the third characteristic of deep, elegant personality rewiring therapy is there's a massive shift in paradigms. I have a young man who came in to see me in his early 30s, and I don't often get people that young in therapy. And in the first session, he came because he was shipped there by his wife. His wife goes, you know, you got to get some things fixed or you're on the chopping block. And I asked this very successful, very bright, handsome young man, do you know that you're broken? And he looked at me like, what? I make X amount of dollars. I have a good job. I don't smoke and drink and chase women. But yet his wife was ready to divorce him. Why? Because he works as if he were in some third world country and was driven by poverty. What a paradigm shift. I said, dude, you are broken. And then after I completed his family tree, I saw why he was broken, and I explained it to him, and he got it. And it will save his marriage because he knows the truth about himself. I don't know if you guys can hear the spaceship in the background. My Echo Dot's still trying to wake me up. We'll find out if it shuts off. So, good therapy is about finding out the truth. Dating a narcissist, you know what that is? That's therapy. You needed to attract and stay in a relationship with that narcissist to knock down your defenses, to give you an opportunity to heal the wounds of that hurting, sad little kid at your core. Deep, elegant personality rewiring therapy always is rooted in work on your family of origin. It's not about the friggin' narcissist. They're just a tool in Mother Nature's hand to heal you. It's always about your childhood. I have a feisty, counter-dependent, over-functioning gal who has been having her lunch eaten by narcissists. And she was contacting me for advice, and we've slowed the process down, and now we're not focusing on advice. We're focusing on the wounded little girl at her soul. And she did not realize how horrific her childhood was, and now we're getting down to business, and her life is going to be massively and profoundly changed as a result of the therapy that we're doing, because she gets it now that she picked this husband and the unhealthy relationship before because they're carbon copies of her malignant narcissist father. That's what we do. So the fourth thing about deep, elegant personality rewiring therapy is if you have complex PTSD, then much of the early therapy is focused there. I don't try to dazzle somebody in the middle of a panic attack with insight into their family of origin. I teach them how to meditate, and I get them doing yoga, and I get them exercising, and if need be, I get them on medication. I get them doing EMDR. We address the complex PTSD, and we'll get to the huge, powerful insights about them later. The sixth thing is, all right, this is gonna throw you guys a curveball. deep, elegant personality rewiring therapy. It's about a relationship with a therapist. The relationship is what heals you, not categorizing and cataloging inside about narcissism like you're friggin' Sam Vaktin. That's all nice and good, but if you've never had a caring, wise parental figure who nurtures you and lifts the shame off of you and gives you healthy parenting, if you will, with appropriate boundaries, then that experience is very corrective. It's very wonderful. It's very healing. I work with a couple that I really enjoy working with, and when they're left to their own devices, oh, that's pretty, they judge each other and they are harsh. But when they're in therapy, they're just delightful, because I communicate with both of them in very affirming and kind and creative and poetic ways. And it really, they both look forward to the sessions. The marriage is going nowhere, and neither of the three of us thinks there's much of a chance to resurrect it, but who knows. But the therapy is beautiful. And I can just see the transformation, especially of the wife, from a bitter, harsh, man-hating, husband-punishing, depressed, dark woman into a kind, loving, insightful, joyful, creative woman. And it's come about not just through the knowledge I've been dispensing, but through the safety and the nurturing of their relationship with the therapist. If you want to learn more about this, I want to recommend a therapist of therapists called Irvin Yalom, Yalom. And he has written a book called The Gift of Therapy, and he talks about the importance and the healing power of the gift of the relationship with the therapist. I'm at 23 minutes. I better get rolling here. I better get talking. So much of what happens in life and in marriage gets mirrored during a therapy session. So many times I just got to pay attention to what's going on in the room. I don't have to talk about how a mother would vent and triangle to a child, because the wife comes in and tries to vent and triangle to me. And I get them, I say, what's the process? What is he doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? How does it feel? And that sheds great light upon the nature of their issues. So I try to stay very observant and very present. I try to be pleasant too. And then I just report what I observe. It's powerful. It's so powerful to get out of the content and to pay attention to the little nuances of process. It'll blow your mind, the insights that you can get from such minute, subtle little things going on in the room. This attention to process and what's going on in the room can happen via Skype every bit as effectively as if the couple were in the room. This couple I'm talking about, I work with them via Skype. And it's tremendously successful and healing therapy. Number 9, the therapist can't have agendas or axes to grind. If you're a narcissist hater, it's going to get communicated in therapy. If you're out to save a marriage at all costs, then you're not really being there for what you're there for. It's an odd picture. You're there to get both parties in recovery and to help both parties heal the wounds of their childhood. And if the marriage is resurrected, then that's icing on the cake. But if a therapist has an agenda of giving their clients what their life doesn't have, or rescuing them from the clutches of a narcissist, then that isn't even therapy. Number 10, a kind, wise, insightful, powerful, elegant personality rewiring deep therapist creates an environment of self-acceptance and a lack of harsh criticism, and also safety and trust in the world. And many of us who've been through a recent shattering, we think there's a narcissist hiding under every bush. There is one in the White House, but they're not everywhere. Not everybody's a narcissist. And so it's about healing enough to trust yourself, and it's about healing enough to see the world as it is and not filled with an excessive amount of projection of the boogermen, or is it boogeymen? Number 9, in good therapy, early on the therapist runs the show. Clients are there to project their issues onto the other person, to vent and triangle, to be reactive, to not listen. I don't allow such nonsense in my sessions. If you try to do those things, I'll cut your legs off. I'll ask you to leave the room and go cool your jets in my waiting room. You have to come to therapy humbly. You have to come self-aware, and you have to come teachable, or I'm going to go out back and get the jackhammer and go at you with it. Number 12 is I don't allow venting and triangling. Much of what passes for advice about narcissistic abuse is just venting and triangling. In essence, what we're doing is we're turning our therapist and our friends and family into our version of nice flying monkeys, instead of getting down to the business of healing ourselves. Number 13, therapy is a place where you cry, sob. So many times people start sobbing and they're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, dude, what are you sorry about? You just hit a grand slam. That's what you're here for. You're here to cry. Best sessions I've ever had in my own personal therapy. I walk in, take my shoes off, lay on the couch, cry for an hour, don't say a word. The therapist hands me tissues. I get up, write a check, and leave, and feel like $1 million. That's deep processing. I want to introduce people to their wounded inner child. I was working with a lady the other day, and she's so blocked off and walled off from herself. Oh, that's pretty. That she isn't even aware that she has a wounded little girl at her core. Number 14 aspect of deep, elegant personality rewiring therapy is your spouse learns to see that wounded little kid as you vulnerably and non-reactively share it, and they show empathy. And I show a great deal of empathy. And I teach you how to show empathy towards yourself, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. When, after 3 or 4 or 5 sessions, a couple that were at each other's throats are able to be vulnerable, not be defensive, listen well, and then as their partner begins to weep, they reach over and give them a tissue, they give them a hug, they rub their leg, they rub their shoulder, they wipe away their tears. That's why I do this work of therapy. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Number 15, in personality rewiring therapy, the clients are deeply invested in the process of their own recovery. Therapy isn't like going to the dentist where you go and you just open up your mouth and, they drill, whatever they're going to do, that they do it to you. Many times going to a physician is that way, or a surgeon, but not going to therapy. Being involved in therapy is like going to a personal trainer. We'll show you how to work out, but you got to lift the weights and break the sweat. Number 16, many times the most powerful therapy includes some time in group therapy. And men, we have a men's group in our practice that had almost died during my shattering, but now there's 7 or 8 guys, and we're really bonding, and we're really getting a lot of work done. And we Skype guys in, and it's only $25. So if any of you guys out there really need a community of insightful men who are digging deep and getting a lot of work done, then contact me and you can join our group. Deep, effective, elegant, personality rewiring, changing. You're going to read a lot of books or listen to a lot of books and watch a lot of YouTube videos. Number 17, 18, what a very talented therapist does is create a safe environment. I have a reactive couple. I have several reactive couples. They save up the most controversial moments of their week and they bring them in to me, and we then I create a safe environment. I cut people off who interrupt. I keep people from going on rants. I keep people from being overly critical of their spouse, and they're able to effectively hear each other and process. I had a case yesterday where the lady said, I look forward to these meetings because there's a very good chance of a different and a deep and a more effective communication experience. Number 19, effective therapy with a kind, powerful, cut through your defenses, take no shit, but has only the most kind and loving agendas. It eliminates your shame. It lifts shame off of you, which is a beautiful thing to watch. And number 20, really good therapy will give you a lot of hope. Hope for your future. Many of us in this narcissistic abuse community, we don't have hope, we don't have power, and we see the world as a very, very dark place. And a really effective therapist will give you loads and loads and truckloads of sincere trust and being able to lean into the good parts of the universe. So that's what therapy looks like when it works. I know that there's a lot of really bad therapists out there. I know that most of them don't know about narcissistic abuse, but there are many who do. And I don't want to offer my services to all of you because I don't have very much time, and I have to charge a healthy fee to cover all my overhead because I've got quite a bit of overhead. And it sounds arrogant, I don't mean it that way, but the sessions are really, really valuable. Many of you say, well, I can't afford therapy, but you can afford getting divorced. And I understand if you're with a malignant narcissist, you need to get divorced. But you might be able to afford some program being sold on the internet. I won't mention names, from Australia, who, it costs you $200, $300, $400 for some magical program that isn't going to work. You're not going to be able to quantum leap yourself through the healing that quickly and without a therapist. It's just not true. And it's snake oil. And there's no quick fixes other than EMDR. And even EMDR needs a coach and needs a talented, insightful, caring, non-reactive, objective therapist. I hope that you have experienced this and as a positive thing, and I hope you're hungry for this type of therapy. And if you want to work with somebody from Family Tree, it doesn't have to be me. It could be somebody with a lower, more economical fee, but we can help you for sure. And maybe there's other people in your community who can help you as well. The people that concern me are the ones who've already consulted and paid a great fee to the leading YouTube gurus, and they haven't really learned about themselves or done any therapy whatsoever at all. They just got more knowledge about the terribleness. There's a bar of the narcissist. So folks, find yourself a good parent. Find yourself a therapist who can walk with you and hold your hand and walk through the valley of the shadow of death, who can help you address your complex PTSD issues, who understands Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome, who can create a container of safety to help you heal that wounded little infant and that wounded little kid at your core. Thank you for watching today. Please subscribe to our channel, Family Tree Counseling, on YouTube. Join us on Tuesday night, message in messages, and we'll answer some questions. Looks like I have bear ears. It's Mark Smith with bear ears. Also, I have some good books on abandonment issues. It's basically they're good books on therapy at familytreecounseling.com. Thank you for watching today. I'm going to have breakfast with my family of origin. Say a prayer for me. God bless.